Hi, everybody. This is Addison Shonland. Today is March the 4th. No, April the 4th, 2022. My guest is Malte Dollinger, who is CEO of Swiss Aviation, and Walter Schmidt, who's with Swiss Aviation, and he's an aerospace engineer. Malte is in Switzerland, and Walter is in Germany. Gentlemen, thank you so much for speaking with me.
And my pleasure.
My pleasure.
Okay.
So there's going to be some news later on this morning about your company.
Mm-hmm.
And Malte, first, tell us about the company.
Our company was formed more than 25 years ago here in Zug, in Switzerland, with a group of aviation experts with long experience in all branches of the aerospace and airline industry. It's basically a management and consulting company to the airline industry, aviation industry. Among them, we have a sister company now established in South America, one in Africa, and in Turkey for Asia. The mother here, the group, is in Switzerland, in Zug, not far from Kloten International Airport. As such, we are engaged in mostly airline setups. That means from start to finish and day-to-day management even. We are assisting airlines in acquiring or selling aircraft as well. And we have been involved in airport projects, technical projects, and so on. And about almost 2 years ago, Star Navigation contacted us through a common link to see if we could not help introduce their system to our airlines worldwide we are dealing with. So we were glad to assist, of course. We started with Turkish, for example. We have many relationships for 20 years now. Did a lot of wet leases from aircraft to Africa, Asia, during especially winter months, and so on. And we were glad to oblige. Although I'm not a technical expert, I used to be an airline pilot, I took the lead and also introduced this to our technical experts like Walter. Then we contacted airlines, and by now, the closest we are now to selling it is to some Northern African airlines. We're very advanced, as well as in South America. And the system is basically, Walter will talk a little bit more about this, is of course a big advantage to airlines to first of all save cost, but also to monitor their equipment and their crews and so on. So this was a very immediate recognition by the airlines we talked to. We had numerous video conferences with the technical teams, management teams, operational teams, and so on. And for now, the first success we have is in Northern Africa, but expect soon a decision also from a few major carriers in South America, and continue from there.
So that's the big news today, the decision around the deployment of the Star Navigation system.
Yes.
So when as not an operator of an airplane, but as a manager of a fleet or consultant for a fleet, what do you think are the big advantages of having this kind of technology on an airplane? What is the...
Yeah.
So I was going to say, for example, there's the operator advantage, there's probably a lessor advantage, there's an insurance company advantage, there's a whole everybody at risk in the deal. Is there something for everybody?
In summary, I say there are 5 major advantages, which I kindly ask Walter to discuss a little bit more in detail as an engineer, what these advantages are in our view. Walter, if I can pass the word to you, please.
Oh, yeah, of course, the basic idea for this system was aircraft tracing in flight, and also to get more details in case of a distress situation. This is the situation nobody wants to have it, but also in regular operation, there are a number of benefits. Of course, you get an actual position every 15 minutes or less if you like. You're gonna get all needed technical information out of the aircraft in real time back to the operations control center. And if you combine those information together with the tracking information, this is a huge database to improve your business, to improve also the cost situation for the operation.
It seems to me that, Walter, what you're saying here, maybe I hope I understand it correctly. One of the features is that for everybody involved that is at risk, be it the insurance company, the leasing company, the operating company, everybody that's at risk in the process actually can utilize this technology to de-risk their business.
Yeah. You know, as a leasing company, of course, you hand over the aircraft with a certain condition, and after several years, you get back the aircraft as a certain condition. And in between, from time to time, you can ask the operator about some conditions, but that's it. And as a leasing company, of course, you can monitor your aircraft every time and see what happens with your asset. And if something you believe as a leasing company is not so correct, you can ask the operator to change something.
Right.
This is a big benefit.
I'm thinking about, for example, what happened now with Russia, and knowing where your asset is would be a very nice thing to have known. If I need to get my asset back, where is it? And when can I get it? I'm thinking about that 321 from Aeroflot that slipped out of Cairo just before the leasing company could get there, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
However, in that case, I would say that it doesn't help you much if you know where in Russia your aircraft is, because they still will not let you pick it up. Right. Even if you know, even at which gate it stands.
Right.
So, of course, knowing where it is already a good one, good reason, but to get it is another point, of course. But you are correct, not only this, but in the case of also the Malaysian flight, the 777, lost somewhere near Australia, with this system, you would have had a track of where the aircraft is at all times, within minute intervals even.
Right. The interesting thing with I remember speaking with the CEO at Star, and he was talking to me about this. Obviously, he was very involved with 370, MH370. It's interesting if you have rules-based system and you know where you're playing and it's doing the wrong thing, rules-based in the database would notify you immediately. The fact that that airplane got lost, even though it did a U-turn and no one knew, it's still to this day, it's not a believable story. There's too many, shall we say, data gaps there, logic gaps.
A very, very strange incident, I would say, like everybody agrees. But anyway, this will come to light one of these days, I'm sure, even if it's in the future. One thing is also that the monitoring is not only for location of the aircraft, but also to discover any problems, let's say engine overheat or anything like this, which immediately will be transmitted to the ground station and not after the airplane has landed. There are some systems already, of course, in place by Boeing and Airbus, but what we find with the STAR system, that it combines the most of these advantages in one unit. There are many units, if you spread them between all the manufacturers, who can do some of the things, but if you look at the list, you see that the STAR system covers most most of them.
And
Maybe
I
Walter
think
can also comment on this.
I was speaking to an operator the other day that's flying the MAX. And this person was saying to me, well, you know, a lot of these features are already built in. And it's interesting because next January we've got GADS. All commercial airplanes have to have GADS by January next year. And it seems to me that the star solution, or that kind of solution, not necessarily star, but the people in that line of business have potentially a huge market for older airplanes that are still great life, you know, lots of life left in them. For example, we see so many 321s converted to freighters now. NGs are being converted to freighters. And of course, we have long-haul airplanes that fly over long water routes that you want to know where that airplane is.
Exactly. Also, 767s are very, very popular as freighters, and they will be flying for another 20 years, okay, after being freshly converted. So even that generation of wide bodies, Airbus 330s, also are being converted to freighters. Of course, there's a boom in the market now for these conversions. But like you just said, the 737-800s, you know, that NG generation also is a very popular freighter by now, and all kinds of conversion going on at the moment. We're dealing with some of them. So you're correct. This is going to be another 20 years, 25 years.
Gentlemen, if you were to cast your eye across the market, how many airplanes out there do you think could utilize a technology like this? Is it thousands?
Oh, I believe we do have about 30,000 commercial aircraft in the market at the moment. Yeah. But also what I realized, it could be any kind of aircraft, helicopters, small aircraft, even unmanned aircraft. So there's a huge potential, I believe, in the market.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Walter. I was speaking to somebody, they would probably have a heart attack if I mentioned the name, so we won't mention the company name. But this company is very well known for its UAVs.
Yeah, okay.
And they pointed out to this, what the person from this company pointed out to me, the technology for a, let's say, a non-military UAV, military UAV, only one interested party is wanting to track that vehicle, but a commercial UAV, which is doing maritime patrol, for example,
yeah,
or Coast Guard kind of activities. You could take what was previously a weapon, now commercialize it, make it a civilian activity, and utilizing this technology, you can now have a really useful tool. Fisheries inspections. I mean, the amount of people that are stealing fish, I think, is pretty much global. And you have a tool that can work 24/7.
Right. Yeah.
I cannot really comment too much on this aspect because it's another, of course, industry. But for the aircraft, like Walter just pointed out, there are so many, which we said, the older generation of aircraft, which still will be around for 20, 25 years, maybe even longer. And this, of course, is a huge market if you add up the numbers. So I think the key is to start with some of our clients. We concentrate on them now, especially on those where we are leasing or selling aircraft to at the moment. They will be delivered during 2022. So we will start with the ones we control. It is for us, it was a better way to start this way than to go to each and every airline we know and push this product to them first. It's always a question which came up also, who is using this already? That's why we thought it's very important to first work with the airlines we are delivering aircraft to. We have a pretty good leverage there to make this decision with them. And then, of course, the market opens up for the rest.
Malte, a question that comes to mind. Recently in the States, for example, we had to have ADSB. If you fly in FAA airspace, you had to have ADSB. And then as we came to the end of last year, there was this crazy rush to do installs.
Mhm.
Commercial globally for GADS is going to be potentially also a crazy rush for installation to get this done by the end of the year, particularly as the industry is trying to recover. What is the time required to install a system like this?
Walter, can you comment on this?
The system itself is available. It's just the way you need some time in the maintenance phase to install the equipment. And this is usually done in 2 or 3 days per aircraft.
Okay, so it's not, it's sort of, you can do it while the airplane is there for some maintenance.
Some A check, yeah. If you do have a check scheduled next week, you can add on this additional efforts to install the equipment.
So if we look to next January, what date do all these airplanes have to have GADS live?
Malta?
I don't know the date. We only know it's coming, but I didn't see a date yet. Maybe you are more informed than us even on this.
I don't know. That's why I asked the question.
It's coming. We know all. Yeah, we know this. It's coming. But at what date, I was not able to find out.
The reason I'm thinking, for example, let's say the three of us who we have a conference to go to and we need to book a flight. For an airline that has this feature built in, I'm thinking of like an airline like Qatar, which loves to be at the very front edge of technology. If they did this installation, they would be telling people, by the way, you're on the trackable flight. It's a marketing advantage.
Right. You can see the safety.
Right. In other words,
of safety.
Right.
Yeah.
So for a first mover advantage here, there is the definite benefit, surely.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is one big benefit. Yeah, next to the technical we discussed and mentioned, of course, to have a minute by minute or a few minutes interval, the tracking of the flight is of great advantage, of course, especially over remote areas in Amazon, over sea, or in desert
in Africa.
areas. And so on.
Yeah.
Walter, it's funny you mentioned Africa. You could probably tell from my accent, I'm from South Africa. I've lived in the States for a long time. When I flew from Cape Town to London or Cape Town to Europe, the flights leave at night.
Mm-hmm.
And when the pilot takes off and they're flying across Africa, they leave the landing lights on in the wings all the way until sunrise the next morning. So I said to the pilot, why do you fly with the lights on all night? And he said, because there's no radar coverage. And the only way we can see each other is to have our lights on. So 100 miles away from each other, we can see the light in the sky. And we know, okay, there's another guy there. This is obviously maybe before the technologies we have today. This is some years, maybe 20 years ago. But it was amazing to me that was the solution to be safe. You put your lights on.
It's a little scary.
You're right.
Yes, you are very right. You know, the Africa continent is very far behind the European and the US according to safety and navigation systems. But the European and the American navigation system are terrestrial system.
Right.
And it's a big advantage if they go for a star or for GTSS.
Right.
So they can go ahead and improve their safety very much.
Gentlemen, I don't know which one is the right one to ask this question. So let's say an operator now decides to install such a system. So there's the obvious safety thing, which is there's no way to value that or price that. That's just something really necessary to have. On an operational basis, what kind of savings could an operator find? Look, there's going to be an insurance saving because the insurance companies de-risk. They now know where the plane is. They know what the risk looks like. The lessor is able to track how that asset is being used. That should be a saving. And then, of course, you've got the optimizing of the operational behavior of the airplane by fuel burn and all that. do you have an estimate of what you think your customer airplanes are going to be able to save in the percentage terms?
If I can first answer, I think it's very difficult to put this in numbers. The only thing, it depends, of course, a lot if you really take advantage of the system in the operation. For example, the main issue is fuel savings. You can add a lot of fuel savings on this, but also on maintenance, because you have much better monitoring of all the systems and so on, see problems ahead of time before they become costly items. And the one thing I also needed to mention is that the equipment itself, the black box, is only 8 kilo. So it is not really a big weight to add this. Relatively easy by putting it in an avionic rack. And you need one small hole to put the antenna on the body of the aircraft. So there's no big installation or adjustment technical things to do to install the system. This is also a great advantage in my opinion.
Right, right.
Okay.
I'm thinking that if you don't have a percentage number do you have a sense of what the ROI would be? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, let me give you a percentage number. Some people believe by installing the system, you can save 3% of fuel burn. But this is not easy to estimate in front end, yeah, because you have to see how the operation is at the moment. In some airlines, it's more. In some airlines, maybe it's hard to get this 3% fuel saving. But it's obviously, you know, in case of fuel saving, you get additional information. You get all the aircraft tracking, and you can combine it with the actual fuels burn at each hour or minute. And using this huge database, you can get this additional 3%.
Right. I'm thinking about, so let's say there's potentially 3%, maybe it's 2% on fuel, but maybe there's 1% in predictive maintenance. Maybe you save 1% on your leasing. Maybe you say another 1% on insurance. I mean, it might be that altogether you start to save some really good amount of money here as an operator.
Yep.
And
we cannot really quantify this reliably because it's from operator, aircraft to aircraft different, and so on, and how much you use, make the system, use it, all the advantages. It's a substantial saving. One thing is for sure, it far outweighs the cost of the system.
Right.
That means this is the key point. It doesn't cost you more as an operator to install the STAR system. It saves you money, even after paying the power by the hour rate to start.
Right.
So this is, I can say that for sure.
Right.
Not the exact percentage amount, but the savings are, of course, much greater than the cost of the system.
Gentlemen, that's been a really great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with me.
Anytime. If you send us a link of your publication, I would like to also read it.
Thank you.